He immediately asked his guards to chop off the head of the comedian just because he was bored again and no longer enjoyed his jokes. Sultan Jadi was a very wealthy king, but he was so unstable and his mood always switched easily. It was unpredictable, in fact. One day, he was very bored in his palace, so he asked his guards to call Mohammed, his violin player. Mohammed played the violin for a few days and he enjoyed listening to him. Soon, he started feeling better. His mood became way better than it was before. He was even cracking jokes and laughing again. But unfortunately, this good mood of his did not last very long at all. He soon got tired of the violin player and ordered that his head be chopped off. And immediately, the unlucky fellow had his head chopped off by the Sultan's men. The Sultan needed to lighten up his mood again, and then he called for Joseph, the harp player. But the same way it happened with Mohammed, the violin player, it also wasn't so long before the sound of the harp became scratchy in his ears and he had the harper's head chopped off too. Many more men came to entertain the angry sultan and cheer him up, but each time he would cheer up for only a short while. Then he would become angry and restless again. He would then ask his soldiers to take them away and behead them as usual. The news of the Sultan's behavior had spread round the city and everyone trembled in fear. Each person wondered if he or she would be the next to be called to the Sultan's palace, only to die by the sword a few days later. Soon, everyone started fleeing the city where the Sultan lived. The storytellers, dancers, musicians, and all other entertainers no longer felt safe in the city again. Even the average citizens did not feel safe and they started packing up to leave the city with their kids. But there was one young man who, in the midst of all this chaos, had no fear at all in him. He was Selam, the snake charmer. One morning, Selam bravely went to the palace and made it known that he would love an opportunity to entertain the Sultan. Everyone was so shocked at this bravery and wondered what will make someone to risk his life in such a manner. Upon the young man's request, he was brought before the Sultan. What an interesting young man, the Sultan thought to himself. Selam began playing his flute, and while he was playing it, the snakes in his sack began to come out and wrap themselves around his legs and neck. But as usual, it didn't take long before the Sultan once more became irritable and bored. He had no more interest in watching the snakes and the flute player. Later in the evening, when Selam was about to pack his things and leave, the Sultan then said to him, "My friend, I've heard enough of you and your snakes. I will command my men to cut off your head with a sword." "My lord," Selam said, "as you say, so shall it be. But give me one more chance. I assure you it will be worth your while." "Very well," said the Sultan. "I will gladly do that, but you must earn your chance. You will have your chance tomorrow. When you arrive here at the palace, you will be a rider and a pedestrian at the same time. This is my order. If you disobey my order, you will die by the sword." Salam bowed and left. The next morning, the Sultan stood on the balcony of his palace and waited patiently for the snake charmer's arrival. To his utmost shock, When the palace gates were opened, Selam came through with a donkey so small that his feet touched the ground on both sides. The king could not utter a word because Selam had done what he had ordered. He was riding the donkey and walking at the same time. "Very well," said the Sultan. "You have done what I asked you to do, but it's not over yet. If you do not wish to die by the sword, you must answer 3 questions." He then proceeded to ask the first question. "How many stars are there in the heavens?" "My lord," Selam answered, "there are just as many stars in the heavens as there are hairs on my donkey, excluding those on his tail. You can count them for yourself." "Very well," said the Sultan again. "Now tell me, on what part of the earth are we?" "In the middle," Salam answered. The Sultan was amused and laughed. He then asked the last question. "How many hairs are there in my beard?" "Just as many as on the tail of my donkey. Cut off your beard and I will cut off the tail of my donkey, then we can count it together." The Sultan then said, "You are clever. You are too clever, in fact. There are no questions you cannot answer." He then asked his guard to get something for him. The man came back with a sack of gold and gave it to Selam, the clever, slick charmer. After Selam had collected the gold, he bowed down to the Sultan and then turned back to start going home. The Sultan remained on his balcony as he watched Selam walk through the palace gates. He was so shocked because the donkey Selam came with was the smallest donkey he had ever seen. The Sultan was not the only one that was surprised because everyone kept staring at Selham in uttermost shock. They couldn't believe that Selham managed to escape death in such a clever manner. Soon, the news of Selham, the clever snake charmer who had managed to impress the angry Sultan, spread throughout the city, and lots of people were impressed by his bravery, confidence, and clever thinking. That brings us to the end of this story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you get notified whenever content like this is being posted. Bye.